Good morning, it's Xavier. Welcome to my bonsai retreat and welcome to Bonsai for Breakfast on this absolutely incredible occasion, because for me, I'm 5,000 subscribers. It's taken 2.5 years, and sometimes I never thought I'd get there.
You're gonna wish you hadn't done that.
Now, for those of you who obviously read my post, would have been last Bank Holiday Monday for us in the UK, I expressed my gratitude and thanks then, especially to those loyal subscribers who keep commenting pretty well on all the videos. I'd love to start naming you, but do you know what? You're all special to me in different ways. It sounds trite, you know, a few of you are going, oh, Zav, stop it. It's true. I can't overstress that that year I spent with my dear wife before she died battling cancer was gruesome, and anyone who's been through that sort of experience knows exactly what I mean. Do you know what? We all struggle with hard times, we all struggle with things that aren't fair in life, but you know what makes us different? The ones who the next day, whatever they're feeling in here, can put a big grin on their faces and do something, just something positive each day. And I think if I was going to say anything that this channel has taught me, is that sometimes just getting up, smiling, putting a rubbish tree in front of the camera and trying to look happy is still positive and still works. So I couldn't have done it without you, and no amount of words can pass on my my thanks. So with the thank yous done, let's move on and see what's on the menu today at Bonsai for Breakfast. Now clearly, for those of you who've been with me since the beginning, well done. That's got to be hard for you, but I appreciate you still being here now. And for new subscribers, you know I really like to interact with the comments, so never be afraid to whack something down in there, even if it's negative. Just don't put any of those 4-letter words that normally get asterisks beside them, because hopefully you won't need to write anything like that. Needless to say, I started this incredible journey back in 2001. I bought 20 larch saplings, and you'll know if you've watched my larch videos that's what's happened. Well, I'm going to showcase for the beginning of this video 3 of those original larch saplings, because all I need to do today really is, well, actually what we're looking for is that 3rd occasion where we can prune a larch. If it's really healthy, there'll still be some growths that we can prune back. Well, that doesn't happen to all the trees, but we have also got some of the larch that didn't get the 2nd round of pruning but are ready now. And we're probably the middle of August. There is still a good chance that anything I prune today may result in further budding and potential more ramification. Can be a bit hit and miss sometimes, but either way, if you've got larches, and I've had a few people ask me this, can I still prune them now? As far as I'm concerned, down here in Grantham in the Bonsai Retreat, the answer is a big yes. Get those scissors out, start pruning back to those desired new buds. It's wired in, I could probably release the wire actually. In terms of any sort of fertilizing regime, right now, yeah, I'll put some bone meal on it, but at the moment I just want to make sure we get rid of any algae or anything that may well cause an issue as we slowly get into the more wetter months, approaching the autumn time. Not quite there yet, but let's let the weeds out. There really isn't a lot to do. I've literally got 1 or 2 here that I'm just going to take back in, and there's 2 buds right in the base. And again, if you're looking at stuff for larch, I have got probably, I'd say so myself, one of the best larch playlists. Goes through in detail all the different steps. And I know in some of these later videos I often don't go into as much detail, but you know, the content's there, you just got to go back in the playlist. So again, I'm just looking to some of these lower ones back to places where I've potentially got new buds that I want growth from. But it is absolutely incredible thing that this larch is gosh, well, it's 24 years old now, and it's been the victim of footballs and cricket balls and kids and dogs and all sorts, but it's given me wonderful times. So just keep it nice and healthy. And again, in this, where you've got a ramified tree, it's looking about, these are the big decisions really, is right on the end. I've got this great big growth here. What I really need at this stage is nice tight, so I want buds that are right in close. And you have to look in there, and I've actually got a bud that's just there, which is what, half a centimetre? That's absolutely ideal. What I really want is another bud, you know, a couple of millimetres further up, but I actually have to go all the way up here to get that placement where we've got here. In fact, I'll show you. There you go. Let's just take some needles off so you can see this clearly, because I'm going to cut this back anyway. So here we go. Here's the example. I've got a bud just there, lovely brown bud, and it's half a centimetre away. What I want ideally is another bud literally a millimetre or two above it. That would be a nice tight internode, and then from there I could get my ramification. But instead I actually have to go up another near centimetre before I get the bud pattern that I want, which is one there and one there. That's what you're looking for that final tertiary ramification. If you had that, then you would cut here, you would get those two bud growths to get your bifurcation, but you want that all the way back here, and it's not there. So what I actually look at doing with larches all the time is I go further back, and there's a bud there and a bud there. That's what I need. I'm gonna have to wait and try again, and that'll probably be coming up next year. And the problem is that you may go back, you've literally just got one bud, and you think, well, cut back to that because it's a short internode distance, but all you're doing is you'll have one length and then another length, and it just don't look. You want the bifurcation, so that's why I keep on going all the way back. When I haven't got the buds I want, cut it all off and start again. It's a slow process sometimes, but that's how we achieve that great ramification with our larches. So I'll finish doing off these. And really, that's pretty well all I'm going to do with this now. As I said earlier, I'll put a little bit of bone meal, and I find that helps really well at this time of the year. Phosphates, I think it's phosphates. So with your indulgence, I'm going to show off two more of my original larches. We won't do any work on them, I'll just show them off. Yeah, we've got this second one, and anyone who saw some of the really early, I did a fashion show with some bonsai, and this one came up as Lucinda Larch. Don't know where the name, oh well, I know where Lucinda came. We had a Basset Labrador cross in Australia called Lucinda Locket, and my mum always said she lost her sprocket. Now as a young kid I had no idea what that meant, but later I found out it had something to do with the vet.
Let's not go there.
But anyway, so this was named after Lucinda Locket, the Basset. Very, very simple. In terms of its growth, I use the word organic. I had absolutely no knowledge when most of this took place. There's a lovely big branch that went on up there which made it look like just a tree, and again I think that was a cricket ball, but got a nice bit of shari, a little gin on there, some nice growth here. The truth is this has been quite slow growing ever since I put it in the Dawn Isaac ceramic, beautiful ceramic, and truthfully I think with the larch it probably needs something a little bit deeper. It may find itself into a deeper pot for a few years, where perhaps I give it a chance to put on a lot more growth and re-energize the roots. And it's something I'd advise a lot of people to do who've had trees in the same pot for a while and start noticing they're not getting that same amount of growth. It could be the tree just wants a bit more room. And this third one, it's really survived despite the odds, and very, very unusual. It was part of a 3-tree forest group at one point, but I just love this, really very, very unique. I mean, the bark on this and the curves, it's unique, and I think we find so many trees like this in nature, and it may not be a lot of people's favourites, but for me, this bark that just beautifully chips up, then here, this shari that's in here, right back down to the core, but all around it we've got this lovely live vein wood around it, these interesting roots. You know, they're not everyone's taste. It certainly doesn't hit many of the formats, but I think it's got certain grace and elegance about it which I love. So that's a glimpse at 3 of my original larches, my starter bonsai, so to speak, on this wonderful journey. Oh, and I did mean to say, I appreciate also that this video is coming out a week after I hit the 5,000. And for those of you who've been with me last week, you'll know the reason was because we had our Tony Bonsai special. I mean, last Tuesday, the 27th of August, it had been a year to that day that Tony had died. So Tuesday and Thursday were dedicated to Tony's bonsai in memory of him. So this got pushed back a week. Hope you don't mind. Anyway, shall we crack on and just do a few bits and pieces with some other trees? I think actually we're going to go and have a look at a Japanese maple that's been desperate for a bit of Xavier mishandling. Probably the best way of putting it. This one, very, very unique. I think I had it, I potentially was going to train it as some sort of semi-cascade, and I had it literally right over like that. And then I looked at the structure and thought I actually much prefer it as an informal upright, which is what I've been doing with it. It went into the pond basket. I like probably 95% of my maples this year, and there's going to be a lot more on the experiment and how it's going. But we've got this lovely, lovely movement and bend. So I just need to look a little bit higher up and work out, do I really need all this extra growth? It's not hurting the tree, so I am going to just look around, see if we've got any dead bits that can be removed, neaten it up. This is just about making it look nice. I'm not expecting there to be another flush. There's more than enough healthy foliage on this to keep the energy going through for the summer. So yeah, I'm just literally cutting back to a nice shape. I mean, this, we're dead here. This is a really great big unwieldy length of growth. And I think this is probably an ideal example to show you when we talk about the problems with internodal distance. And we're often talking about it with our maples. You've heard me talk about it with the larch. I'll give you a classic example of the catch-22 problem with letting growth spiral out of control. This here represents where the apex is. It's not going to be any taller than that. And then so we look, we've got this great big thick branch coming out, and bearing in mind how thick the apical trunk is, that's actually getting bigger than it. And then when we talk about internodal distances, right here we could have a bud. If we cut here, we would get buds coming from here. You then have to go all the way probably up to here, so that is gotta be 2 inches right at the apical part of the tree, right here, before you get any buds. So that's never going to be anything good apart from thickening, and it really has done that job. I've actually got this branch here and another branch in there, so this actually serves no purpose at all. So with that in mind, why don't we get rid of it? Nice easy cut, and that I could still put away for a cutting. And then just a little bit of cut paste just to seal up the wound. Lovely there. I think the front is actually probably going to be in here with the interesting roots there, somewhere there. Not sure. Obviously we've got this here. It's not actually working probably too well. So let's just continue to clip back some of this growth. And as I say, I don't have any great expectation of these extensions sending out new buds, but do you know what? They have in the past, and there is still time for them to harden off. So you can get that. Right, so we've got actually 2 parallel branches all growing up. And in this case, that's going to be the front. Maybe we'll take that one off actually. Here again, great big long internodal distance. Let's remove it. And here, I think the answer is actually going to remove to actually chop that off. Unless I was unless I was going to be growing the tree on that line there, it's just competing with this here. So another case, I think what we'll do is we'll get rid of it. And I'll stress again, I'm not pruning now with the idea of getting greater ramification. That may be a byproduct. What I'm doing now is actually picking out places where we've clearly got branches we don't want, and what I want is to get the healing happening. We just need to really clip back this great big long one here. And again, we've got the same thing. It's we've got this long internodal distance here. Probably, I think there's going to be a lot of work to do in the autumn. Got something growing underneath. I'll get rid of that now. But we've actually got 3 great big branches coming from the same point. So for now, I'm just going to halt the growth of that one. Maybe the front actually. I like that as the front. I don't know what you think. Somewhere in there maybe. Give it a good dose of bone meal. So I've got another sort of 30 or so Japanese maples, all in a very similar state. That's exactly what I'll be doing with them right now. Actually, shall we have a look at that daisy bush? Because a few people were interested to know how it responded to the pruning. And only take a few minutes, I'll show you. Yeah, just quickly, this daisy bush, olearia, you've actually probably only just recently, probably the last 2 weeks, seen the video for this, probably less than that, where I treat this as my impossible bonsai. And a couple of you asked you'd love to see it when it starts pruning back. And interestingly enough, a week after I did the pruning on this, and I actually did the pruning probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago in reality, all the leaves on this went yellow and dropped off. And I thought that was unusual because I didn't see that happen in the first of them I did last year. So truthfully, I thought that was a goner. But hey, let's have a look and see what we've actually got from it now. All this lovely new growth, little growth down here. But this is the colour all the leaves went, and it's just they just died off. But from them, buds have come from all of it. So I think I said at the time I found this tree to be a very, very responsive tree to work, and all the leaves that have died have produced lovely new buds, and truthfully we're even at this stage I'm going to take advantage of them. Here we've got bud here, got 2 new buds here, so I'm going to just take those right back as well, and where those old leaves have just yellowed off, we'll get rid of them. But here, lots of budding from here down here. So yeah, very, very encouraged with how this is responding. Here, lots of little buds. Man, I can do that. There, buds there, so I'll take that back. I was unsure here which way to go with it, but now that I've got new budding there, I'm inclined to just let that budding run. So overall, I'm extremely pleased. It continues to throw out new buds and new growth pretty well on demand when you prune it. I think this has got a great future ahead of it, even here in the bonsai retreat. So that's how the daisy bush is looking. Oh, I've got a Satsuki azalea that's got a few things I want to point out to you. Do you want to see that?
Do we have a choice?
Yeah, I want to send out a really big thank you first of all. I'm sorry, the name's on the tip of my tongue and I haven't got it on my notebook, but a number of people, and definitely one person, suggested that I use sequestered iron mix to help, I think it needs iron to get the green back in the leaves of these azaleas, and in fact for many of the fruiting varieties. And I put on a dose of iron about 5 weeks ago. I'm about to put on some more, and this one immediately has greened up so much. I mean, there's still a few of the older leaves that are going to fall, but if you look back at some of the older videos, the rich green growth that we're seeing in here just wasn't there. So I want to say a big thumbs up, and any of you who are struggling with, you know, the yellowing discoloration on your azaleas, particularly on your fruiting trees, then look to the fact that you may have an iron deficiency, because hey, this has worked wonders. I'm also going to apply it to my Genko as well. Same thing, they've got some slight yellowing in the leaves, which means there's a lack of chlorophyll. Sequestered iron, who knew? Probably most of you, to be fair. Anyway, I have actually got another azalea that I want to do some work on, and I'll show you why. And it's this one. And again, this is one I've got a lot more of the old leaves basically are browning and yellowing off. But again, I've still got a nice crop of new richly green leaves, which is really encouraging. And this year I really didn't do much with them in terms of pruning or anything, mainly because they didn't flower, and I was a little bit uncertain of them. But what we have got is a situation here, got this great big shoot under here. I don't think we need that. And here I've got an absolute ton load of shoots that have pushed out. So I'm going to reduce that down to just 2 shoots. Now, there's a risk when you start cutting back any growth after the sort of mid-June, the summer solstice. There is a risk then that what you're actually taking away is all that new growth. This is where your flowers are going to be forming, the buds will be forming in these now. So I know and recognise that I could well be removing a lot of flowering growth for next year. But ultimately I'm looking at developing the secondary structure on this first. So get you in close, show you what I'm going to do. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, upwards 6, 7, all relatively strong shoots coming from the same point on this stub branch. So looking at that, I want to pick probably the best horizontal branches. Now I have got an option of completely removing this one, but in terms of the thickness of that to the branch, do I keep this as a potential new branch? No, I actually like what's here. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of a few that I know I won't want. This one's upwards, won't want that one. Do I really want that one? No. Will that make a great cutting? Oh yes. So we've got this nice strong one that's going to be horizontal growth. There's another one here, but I don't want that one, so we'll get rid of that one. I'm going to cut this stub back because this is going to be my new main branch, and then it's just about selecting whether I want this one, which is underneath it, or got this one here, or indeed there's one here that's also underneath it from the crotch, so we're going to get rid of that. And it may be that I'll keep this one for now because I don't know how well this is going to develop, although it should do, so let's not keep it. There we go. So now, out of all that growth, we are down to just these 2, and I'll let those both go for now. And obviously what we are going to do is remove that one as well. So I'm just going to go around and do the same thing with other branches. Just make sure we haven't got any extra energy going to the growth that we really are not going to want. Also, say, removing some of these dying leaves, and again this will get a dose of sequestered iron. I suppose what I'm saying here is it's always a good time to just go look into your trees. It doesn't have to be azaleas. Have a look, especially maples, anything like that, where you've got anything more than two branches of shoots coming out from a junction. Get in there, pick the ones you want, remove the others. And then the other thing I've got to tackle is James's Cotoneaster, because the wire has well and truly dug in nice and deep there, so I've got no option, but I really have to remove it. I'd love to get him to do it himself, but right now him and Mim are in Gibraltar, and in fact right now you probably find there's just a couple of photos coming up where they're enjoying a bit of scuba diving and some scuba kissing. Yeah,
That's gross.
I hope he doesn't mind, but I'm going to at least remove the wire, and I'm actually going to chop away quite a bit. This wire has been on for quite a while, and if you look in here, we've got some nice red berries. Under there, that wire is now pretty well in the whole thickness of that branch. There you can see the swelling either side, and I think we can demonstrate that quite easily by when I remove it. And yes, it's going to scar. What I'll say about Cotoneaster is they do grow a nice thick rough bark, so potentially that will be resolved. You do have to be careful when you remove like that, because as soon as you take the wire out, if you're not careful, you open up parts of the cambium, But what will probably happen is this will heal over nice and thick and probably won't even be noticed. And I might also, actually it's resolve an issue with this branch, which I really don't like, but let's resolve it now. Okay, well, I've removed the big branch that came all the way around here, but there's actually a couple of branches back here. I think that's what we really want to be looking at developing from now on. So we get the line running up, which means we need to get rid of that. We've got one that's coming back on itself. Get rid of that. Do we want that under there? Probably. Well, the only reason we would want that branch lower down there is if we were going to take this whole clump off. That's a decision James can make. So we'll get rid of, whoops, oops. So we'll get rid of that. There's a little one on the inside here, which is just going to go across. So we'll get rid of that. Like the line we're getting now. There's a little one in here, just getting in the way. We'll get rid of that. But this one that's going straight up, really we don't need that. Now at least we can see some lines going outwards. That's fine. That's fine. I'm quite happy to let that go up for a little bit of height until he can decide what he wants to do. So I'm just, well, maybe not. Yeah, I know what I would do, but for the sake of getting this, just so it doesn't go so unruly for James until he comes back, we'll leave it like that. So that is James Cotoneaster. The other two kids, you haven't seen theirs, but shall we move on? I've actually got a Chinese elm that desperately needs a haircut, unlike me. So here it is. I know you've seen it before. This is one of my cuttings from 2016, 2017, and developed nicely there. It's actually developed in a nursery bed where it was forgotten about for several years. Quite nice, thick trunk, reasonable sized trunk in proportion to the branching that's coming out. All I need to do is just cut some of this growth back to profile, and that's all I'll do. You've seen me do that with Chinese elm before. There'll be videos in the description if you want to see me doing it in detail, but I think we'll do a bit of a before and after. So let me get at this with the shears, and just so you can get a feel, for those of you who haven't watched, I will literally just clip back to the profile that I want, going right back, removing all sorts of growth so that new shoots come out where I want them. All of this was looking like this, a great big mat of shoots and leaves everywhere, very hard to see exactly what structure you had, whereas now I've cleared all this growth that was out between these. It was just one big matted growth. Now I've just defined it a little bit so you can actually see where the branching really is, removing everything back down to just 2, maybe 3 shoots from single points. And to be fair, I just get my fingers right into the crotches there, just pull it out, right, go right in and just pull out, because if I get it wrong it'll all grow back, but just so I can start seeing what structure we've got in there to allow me to make decisions on pruning. And there it is, all the crotches, everything cleaned out. I've taken away lots of this year's sort of very, very weak growth. May have removed a few bits and pieces that could have been good, but if you can't see what's in there, then you can't even start to begin secondary or tertiary development. So again, I've opened it right out, we can see where our pads are, and as a result of that, I'm now able to better plan this tree for the future. It's got lovely lines, lovely shape. I'm really hopeful. The only thing I have done is left this one. I want this to grow out thicker because I want this branch to be just a bit thicker than it currently is. So that's my homegrown Chinese elm. Age, what? About 7 years old. So pretty happy with that. I suppose the only other thing I wanted to do is, again, thank you, 5,000 subscribers. It's an incredible position to be in. I know Zita, God rest her soul, will be looking down on us all, shining. She'll have big thumbs up, patting you all on the back for helping me. And you have helped me without a shadow of a doubt. I'm showing you this Korean Hornbeam. It's one of the trees I purchased back in 2001. It's in a lovely Dawn Isaac ceramic. Very, very slow growing. I think I was going to make not an apology, but I tend not to show me working on a lot of my purchased show say show trees, my purchase trees, the ones that have cost a bit of money. You've seen there's the Chinese elm root on rocks, there's this one, even the Japanese white pine. I've got quite a lot of trees that, you know, look like really decent bonsai, perhaps even that one, and I don't show them because, do you know what, I love working on the stuff that I've developed from nursery stock or from cuttings or from saving some imports that are looking pretty ropey. Same with pines and stuff like that. You know, it's a journey that I like to think I'm sharing with everyone who's of the same skill level as me. I'm not sure that's saying very much at all. I don't know if you're getting the message, but I'm sorry if I don't show more of these sort of prepared bonsai trees, but I'll be honest, I love the stuff where I get to dig in there and make loads of blunders and mistakes, and hopefully you're enjoying that too. You can tell it's cutting gardens weather as well. I mean, after all, the truth is, I haven't had any training. I've just had loads and loads and loads and loads of trees die on me, and that's how I'm learning. I try to give a little bit of instruction, but I'm really not qualified to instruct and give these guides to how to, because ultimately I've learned all of it from watching people who do know what they're doing. You know that one of my biggest influences is Bonsai Mirai, Ryan Neal, but I've also jumped into Heron's Yella of growing bonsai. We started together. I actually learned quite a lot from him, and you know, when I use other people's information, I have no problem giving links to it, because ultimately all the experience is already out there. I'm just showing you my take on it. Anyway, what's for the future? Well, I did a ground layer on this this really ugly larch, and I think you can go right back to the beginning of spring. You might see that, but we'll be uncovering the pot that's there to see whether or not we've got roots. We've certainly got loads of growth, so it's definitely healthy, and it's healthier than it's ever been. So we'll be looking at that. Also, in fact, here's something I wanted to show you. Really proud of this. This is an English elm root cutting. I say cutting, but this was an old bit of root that I pulled off one of those Chinese elms, and I just chucked in a bucket of soil, and the whole lot, we've got so much growth from the top of it. But it's just to say, if you've got some old unwieldy roots which you take off your Yamadori digs, which will be obviously coming up for some of us in the early December, others in the early spring, all those great roots that you cut off, don't throw them away, just chuck them in buckets of dirt like I did here, and one or two of them will sprout some cracking roots, will sprout some cracking branches, and I'm going to have what I think will be a very, very interesting slanting broom. So that's good. I think apart from that, I'm going to say thank you ever so much again for everything you've done for me. Hope you've enjoyed it. Big thumbs up if you have. Remember, please share, subscribe to anyone who hasn't been on my channel, who doesn't know about me. And apart from that, just enjoy your bonsai. Enjoy the fact that sometimes it's great to just get up in the morning, have your cereal, smile, and even going to work can be fun, especially if all you do for work is like me, bonsai. Anyway, happy bonsaiing, all the best, God bless. Cheers.